They called it a necessary reset. I called it a knife to the spine. 12 years building Ashton and Price's digital division, 12 years of 70-hour weeks, overnight fire drills, and making sure clients never saw how often we had to duct tape our code just to meet impossible deadlines. My name is Nathan Cole, and for a decade I was the one who kept that place from burning to the ground. And yet, there I stood, Thursday morning, in a glass office overlooking downtown, with Brent MBA Wallace telling me I was no longer a strategic fit. He wore his smirk like it was tailored with his overpriced suit. "You're done here, Nathan," he said, dropping my badge in the trash. Not even a drawer for me to clean out, just like that. "We appreciate your contributions, but you've hit your ceiling," he added like he was reading off a script. I smiled, calm, quiet. I handed him my tablet and said, "Watch your inbox Monday." He chuckled like he'd won, like I was just another relic swept out during a spring cleaning. "Don't take it personally," he added. "This is business." That word, business, like it explained away everything, like loyalty didn't matter. As I walked past the team I'd built from scratch, heads down, avoiding eye contact, I made a mental note. 5 of them had reached out to me privately in the past year, saying Brent was bleeding the pipeline dry, ignoring architecture, chasing flashy demos. They'd stayed because I stayed. I left without saying a word. That was Thursday. By Thursday night, I was already in motion. Friday morning, I was in a borrowed workspace 2 blocks from their tower. I didn't need much, just my personal backups, my contacts, and a plan. You see, Brent never understood what I actually did. He thought tech was about interfaces and sizzle, but I built trust. Every major client Ashton and Price landed in the last 6 years came through me. I was in the rooms Brent wasn't invited to. I answered the 2 a.m. calls. I solved the problems when nothing else worked. So I made some calls. Nothing aggressive, just a few quiet emails. "I'm moving on," I wrote. "If you're looking for clean architecture and honest delivery, let's talk." Within 12 hours, I had meetings set with 4 of their top-tier accounts. I wasn't pitching anything yet, just listening, understanding pain points, collecting receipts. Brent had no idea the ground was already crumbling under him, because while he was celebrating his decisive leadership, I was preparing the slow bleed. And if you're still with me, if you like where this is heading, go ahead and subscribe. There's more to come. Friday evening, I met with someone important, Lena Morris. We used to be competitors once, but we'd both been burned enough times to know when alliances mattered. She ran a boutique tech consultancy that had just lost its CTO. I asked for a short-term partnership, a landing pad, a shell through which I could operate without drawing too much attention. She agreed, not because she owed me, but because she'd watched what I did for years, and she hated Brent. She offered me a temporary team, small, nimble, the kind who don't ask why. I spent the weekend in her office, lights off, coffee running cold. We rebuilt the back-end system Ashton and Price had depended on, only leaner, modular, and bulletproof. And I didn't have to steal anything. Everything I built there was mine. No NDAs could erase the architecture I carried in my head. By Sunday night, the new platform was ready. Not polished, not pretty, but functional. Faster than theirs. Simpler. And with 3 features I knew their legacy clients had been begging for, but Brent refused because it didn't fit his vision. Monday would be fun, because while Brent was prepping his quarterly call with shareholders, thinking he'd cleaned house and stabilized the ship, I was preparing to launch the iceberg. Monday morning, 8:03 a.m., my inbox lit up. Subject lines like, "Touching base," "Quick call today," "Exploring options." Brent must have seen the first cracks by then. One of the clients I'd spoken to, Klein Ventures, had rescheduled their Q2 review. Translation, they were backing out. I didn't reach out to them again. Didn't have to. They knew where I was now. I checked the usage logs on the dev instance we'd spun up over the weekend. 37 active API calls. 5 separate demos accessed. Word was spreading. Fast. At 9:15, Brent called me. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. "Hey, Nathan, heard you've been in touch with some of our partners. Totally fine if you're consulting. I just think we should align. He used the word align like it meant something. I played the message twice. He sounded unsure, almost polite. A man who realizes the storm is inside the house. Then at 10:02, another email, this time from corporate counsel. Mr. Cole, we'd like to remind you of your confidentiality obligations as outlined. I didn't finish reading. They had no claim. I had taken nothing, except their client's trust, which they handed to me when they let Brent run wild. At noon, I walked into a building 4 blocks away from Ashton and Price HQ, floor 12, glass office. Lena had cleared space. Temporary, she said. Unless it works. I smiled. We already had 2 NDAs signed and a third waiting for review. The clients were choosing faster than I expected. Because what Brent never understood is this. Reputation isn't what you post on LinkedIn. It's who they call when things fall apart at midnight. And for 12 years, they called me. One by one, emails came in. A logistics firm, a fintech app, even a private equity group I'd never spoken to directly. We'd like to explore what you're offering. I wasn't offering anything. Not yet. I was just existing, and that was enough. At 2:37 p.m., Brent emailed again. One line. We need to talk. You're crossing a line. I didn't respond. By then, it wasn't about him. It was about momentum. He'd spent 2 years trying to impress the board with buzzwords. Meanwhile, I built quiet confidence, and now it was echoing louder than his quarterly reports ever did. If this story feels like something you've seen happen, or worse, lived through, then hit subscribe. Because this is just part 2. At 4:11 p.m., Lena called me in. Just got off with Harper, she said. Voxwell Capital. They want in. My eyes widened. Voxwell had been Brent's crown jewel. Their $12 million cloud migration had been the centerpiece of his leadership pitch. Why? I asked. Lena smirked. They said your exit made them nervous. Brent gave them the runaround last week. When they found out you'd spun up something cleaner, they requested a demo. We scheduled it for Wednesday. That night, I walked past Ashton and Price HQ. From the sidewalk, I could see Brent through the glass. Talking, animated, sweating. Behind him, the project board I used to update. All those red Post-its that meant pending, review, or broken. I didn't feel rage. I felt focus. Brent didn't just fire me. He ignited a sequence I'd quietly prepared for. Because when you work for people who treat trust like a budget line, you learn to pack a parachute before they push. Wednesday, 9 a.m. Lena's team had prepped everything, clean UI, real-time metrics, fast load times, even on throttled connections. I knew what Voxwell would be looking for because I was the one who built the version they use now, and I knew exactly what frustrated them about it. Brent had overpromised features and cut corners on scalability. What we had now was lean, predictable, and flexible. At 9:30, the call started. 2 senior engineers, 1 director, and Harper Godwin, Voxwell's VP of infrastructure, and one of the sharpest people I'd ever worked with. Nathan, she said, you're aware Ashton and Price still lists us as an exclusive client? I didn't flinch. That agreement was based on me leading the project. I no longer do. Silence. Then she smiled. Let's see what you built. I walked them through the demo. They didn't ask fluff questions. They went deep. Modular chaining, versioning control, risk layers. They asked about failover design, not just uptime. 20 minutes in, Harper leaned forward. You wrote this from scratch? Line by line, I said. No recycled code, no lifted modules. And it's deployable now. With your data, 48 hours. By 10:30, they were off the call. At 11:05, Lena walked in with her phone. They want to migrate, full transition, starting Monday. I nodded, but I didn't smile. Not yet. That afternoon, Ashton and Price's stock dropped 4.3%. No press release, no scandal. Just a whisper moving through the investor network. Key accounts are moving. Brent must have been pacing his office like a zoo animal. By 3:15, I got a call from a number I hadn't seen in years. David Langston, the founder, the one who hired me 12 years ago before retiring to the board. I picked up. Nathan, he said, Brent says you're trying to destroy us. No, I said. Brent already did. I'm just giving people a way out. He was quiet for a while. Then, would you meet with the board? I paused. Only if Harper comes too. From Voxwell? Yes, as an observer. That's unusual. So is firing your architect mid-sprint and expecting stability. The meeting was scheduled for Friday, and Brent, he didn't even know it was happening. Thursday night, I met with Harper in a private downtown bar where everyone paid with black cards and no one made eye contact. You trust them? She asked. I trust what fear does to men like them, I said. If they believe I can salvage the damage, they'll listen. If they don't, I'll walk out and let the collapse finish itself. Friday, 8:45 a.m. I walked into the boardroom. 7 faces. Stone-cold expressions. David nodded toward the head chair. Please. Brent wasn't there. He won't be joining, David said. We asked him to take the week. I sat, Harper beside me. The CFO was first. You've taken 5 of our top 10 clients. No, I corrected. They left. I just answered the phone. Another director spoke. The transition is happening so fast. That doesn't happen unless there's planning. Are you accusing me of sabotage? I asked. No one answered. I waited. Then Harper leaned forward. With all due respect, if Nathan had wanted to sabotage you, there would be no board meeting today. There would be an SEC filing and 3 lawsuits. Silence, she continued. He left. You cut him out. And now clients are following him. That's not sabotage. That's credibility. David nodded slowly. What do you want, Nathan? I answered without blinking. Nothing from you? I want clean distance. I want your legal team to stop sending me letters, and I want your CEO to stop calling clients claiming I stole something. Another board member sighed. So what do we do? Harper glanced at me. I stood. Let him go quietly. Don't protect him. Don't shield his narrative. Let it burn. And what about you? I'm already gone. But if you lie about how this happened, I'll go public. With everything. The meeting ended in silence. Not defeat. Surrender. Controlled retreat. They knew the tide had turned. They just didn't want to drown in front of shareholders. Saturday morning, 9:12 a.m. My phone buzzed with a message from an unfamiliar number. He's out. Official Monday. Board wants to talk again. No name, but I knew who sent it. Sunday evening, David Langston called. Brent's resignation is public tomorrow. We're appointing interim leadership. I think the board would still like you to return. I laughed. Quiet, not cruel. David, your house caught fire, and now you want the guy you locked out to come fix the wiring? You built this company's future. Number Y built something inside it. You killed the company. You just didn't notice until it stopped breathing. He paused. We'll name you chief of product. Full autonomy. Name your terms. I didn't even hesitate. I already have autonomy. I ended the call. Monday morning, Vox will send over final paperwork for our transition. Lena and I reviewed it together, line by line, clean, solid. But it wasn't just about contracts. It was about control. I was no longer navigating someone else's dysfunction. I was the architect now, not just the engineer. At 1:04 p.m., Brent posted a farewell message on LinkedIn. Grateful for the opportunity. Time to recharge. New chapters ahead. Comments flooded in. Polite, hollow. The digital equivalent of nodding at a funeral for someone you barely knew. But I saw the subtext in every comment. We saw what happened. You lost. That night, Lena handed me a whiskey and a highball glass and asked, So is that it? Did you win? I thought about it. The emails. The silence in Brent's old office. The way the board had to look me in the eye and admit they'd backed the wrong man. I smiled. No, I said. Winning would be not having to come back at all. This question mark, this is correction. At 3:27 p.m. Tuesday, Ashton and Price's internal memo leaked. Details of Brent's NDA. The clawbacks. The clients confirmed lost. That night, Harper texted me just 2 words. They're bleeding. I didn't reply. But if this is hitting a nerve, if you've ever handed your best to someone who threw it away, Go ahead and hit subscribe, because sometimes fire is the cleanest way forward. Wednesday, I walked past the old HQ again. The logo was still lit, the lobby still polished, but inside it was hollow. I could feel it. No hum, no tension, just empty glass. That afternoon, I got a message request from someone I hadn't heard from in years. Matt Larkin, the junior dev I mentored back when I was still foolish enough to believe loyalty mattered. I left, starting my own thing. Thanks for showing me how not to sell your soul to a title. I replied, good, just build it better. By Friday, the last of the migration had cleared. All 6 clients moved. Ashton and Price's Q2 was now a graveyard. Quiet, incomplete, half buried, and just when I thought it was done, a reporter called. We're running a story on the leadership shift at A&P. Would you like to comment? No, I said, but I'll send you something. I sent her one screenshot, Brent's final internal email, the one where he claimed the clients were being poached through unethical manipulation. And right under it, 6 replies from clients saying, no one manipulated us. We just followed the product. She published it Sunday. Headline, when the heart leaves the machine. Subhead, one engineer walked out. The company followed him. The article hit Monday morning. Within 3 hours, it was trending on every major tech feed. One engineer walked out. The company followed him. Reddit lit up. Hacker News ran a thread 300 comments deep. Most didn't even name Brent. They just called him the suit or the smiler. One post read, this is why you never fire the guy who built the engine. Another, the man left with nothing but his name. Now it's the only asset they want back. By Tuesday, Brent deleted his LinkedIn. The comments on his farewell post had turned. Sarcasm, coldness. One ex-employee wrote, we didn't lose our leader. We lost our firewall, and we burned. Lena forwarded me an internal message from A&P's legal team, leaked anonymously. Brent had tried to negotiate severance. They refused. His contract had been voided due to reputational damage. His golden parachute, gone. That week, Ashton and Price started rebranding. A new logo, a desperate campaign to rebuild what was never meant to survive without its foundation. The new CEO, some consultant with 3 degrees and no sense, posted a public note. We're evolving, moving forward, reinventing the culture. No one cared, because culture isn't declared, it's lived, and they'd already killed theirs. Meanwhile, we launched the first full release of our platform under a new name, Framework 9. Quiet launch, no press, just clients and results. Within 48 hours, 3 more inquiries came in. By Friday, we had to double our capacity. Lena just looked at me and said, I think we've started something they won't be able to copy. I nodded, because they'd need to understand what it means first. That night, I walked alone past a closed WeWork office. Papered windows, dusty chairs, and suddenly I saw Brent's face in my mind. Not angry, not smug, just confused. Like a man who'd walked into a house, turned off the power, and wondered why the lights went out. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt done. Not with work or vision or building, but done proving. 3 days later, I got an invitation to speak at a summit in Seattle. Topic, legacy and leadership in post-startup environments. I declined. They sent a follow-up. We'd still like to quote you. Any final thoughts on what happened at Ashton and Price? I wrote one line. Legacy is what stays when your name fades. The rest was noise. I never mentioned Brent. I didn't need to. His story had already been written. In job boards, in ghosted calendars, in meetings that never got rescheduled. No vengeance, no fire, just silence. The kind that lingers when the engine stops. Lena and I kept going. We hired slow. Only people who built. No passengers, no politics. Just architecture. Just forward. And then one night, months later, a young developer approached me after a private event. You're Nathan, right? I nodded. I used to intern at Ashton. You taught a lunch session once on failure handling. It changed the way I wrote code. I smiled. Still failing gracefully? He grinned. Trying. He walked away and I stood there for a moment. The city noise faded just enough for one thought to land. We don't always get to keep what we build, but we do get to decide how it ends. They fired me. They laughed when I left. They thought they owned the future. Now they don't even own their name. The empire burns in 10.